Alright, so I'm going to be doing a quick teardown of this Dell Inspiron model 5559. So also I'm running a contest slash giveaway for some Apple AirPod Pros. I'm still waiting for them in the mail, but in my next videos I'll show a picture of them. I'm going to leave them sealed in the box. But anyways, if you're interested, take a look at my community channel to find out about that. So anyways, this video I'm just doing a quick teardown. So we're just going to remove the screws. The customer was having an issue, their screen was cracked, so I have to check the model number of the screen. And then they also had some wireless issues, so I'm going to check if it's going to be a quick thing to check or... Okay, the wireless card is here. So if it's a wireless issue, then I don't know if this wireless card's dead or they did something with the software. The wireless antennas, to remove them, you just pop up the tail just like that. Alright, to put them back, just line them up, make sure you get them completely lined up, and then you just push it down. Okay, just like that, it'll snap in place. If you want to remove the card, it comes up slightly at an angle. This plastic's a little bit in the way, so you kind of have to use the lifted up metal piece to pull it back just like that. But yeah, to put it back, same thing, just put it back in, push it in, and then push this back down. Alright, again, this is just going to be a quick tutorial. I don't remember if I have another video on this where I kind of took everything out more completely, but this one, since my main goal is to find out the screen model, I'm just going to do a quick tutorial. There should be 4 screws. I guess 1 screw is missing here, but normally I believe there's 4 screws holding this. Once you take those out, you can use this tab and you can lift this up to take the hard drive out. You can replace this with a 2.5-inch SATA SSD as well if you want. I have a video showing how to clone to copy over the hard drive to an SSD, so if you wanted to upgrade, it'll make your computer a lot faster. I highly recommend SSD upgrades on every computer. To remove this cable, you just flip this little latch up, and then you can pull this connector out. Okay, I'm going to leave all this in again because I'm just going to show, or I'm just going to try and get to the screen. The RAM that they use is 4 gigs PC3L 12800S, so there's a 4 gig stick. If you wanted to upgrade it, you can. I usually find that more than 8 gigs of RAM doesn't really help too much for most people. So the biggest upgrade you can do is the SSD upgrade. Then you got the Cmos battery here. If you wanted to remove that, you just get your screwdriver, push it over to the side, and then as you push it over, you can lift it out. I don't want to take it out because it'll reset their BIOS. Then you got the speaker connector here. If you want to remove that, you kind of just wiggle it and it'll pop out just like that. Don't try and put too much force on it, just keep wiggling it, it'll eventually pop out. Alright, so that's all I'm going to show on this bottom cover. Usually, to be safe, with these components it's not really a big deal, it's more for the screen. But to be safe, if it's your first time and you're not careful or you're clumsy, you can take the battery out and then hold the power button down for a few seconds. Usually when changing the RAM and things like that, it doesn't matter. The customer told me that their battery is completely dead, so it wouldn't do anything anyways. But yeah, so usually when you open a computer, especially if it's your first time or you don't know what you're doing, you can remove the battery first to be safe. Okay. If you do mess with the LCD cable, it's very important that you do that pressing and holding the power button, because if you pull the connector out, it can cause an arc, and that can damage your motherboard, the screen, or sometimes even the cable, or all three. So it's very important that you do that power drain. Okay, so now that we took the battery out, drained it, I did a quick showing of what's underneath. There's not really any point to remove all the other screws and take everything else out unless you're checking the motherboard, but usually you don't need to do that. Alright, the only other thing is if you're cleaning the fan out. The keyboard here, I'm not sure if any screws are holding it in place. There might be just this one that's holding the CD drive and maybe that, but let me see if I can just pop, if I have my pry tool. Okay. The keyboard on this model, it's held in with these little clips. There might be screws underneath as well, but you use a thin pry tool and then you just push the clip basically inside. Alright, and you can pop this keyboard out. So that, yeah, this keyboard actually doesn't have any screws holding it in. So if you wanted to remove the keyboard, it's just like that. You lift it up and then you can pull the keyboard back. It has these little tabs that stick underneath. All right, and then underneath you got the cables here. There's the keyboard backlight cable and then the keyboard cable. To remove these, you just pop up the little latches like this, and then you can pull the cable out. I don't want it to come out, so I'm gonna put it back in. All right, and then you got this cable, I think is actually for the power button. So here you can see the fan. If you want to just clean the fan, you can take out the keyboard and then you can get a strong air compressor and blow that out. I have this thing that I use. It's a G-Autos or something, air blaster rocket or something. I don't know what it's called, but I can use that and then just blow the air in the side. So this one actually isn't too dusty, so it's not a big deal. I'll just leave it in there. Okay, so I'll put the keyboard back in. All right, just like this. Make sure that this part goes underneath. You might have to kind of lift it up and stuff to get it to go in properly. Then hold up the middle part so that way when you push it down on the sides, it will flex in. All right, just like that, and then you can put down the rest of it. Okay, so that's how you do that. All right, so now we're going to remove the screen. I don't know if I can show this, but basically you get your fingernails or pry tool on the inside and you pull it back. It does have an adhesive, so it might be a little difficult. If you are attempting this, only attempt it if your screen's already broken, because there's a good chance that you will end up breaking your screen. If it's not already broken, you'll probably end up damaging it. So just be careful with this. Pry out this plastic from the frame, okay, because you want it to stay on the screen itself. Okay, if your screen's broken, it's not really a big deal. You can actually just tear it all up and it's okay, but just to be safe, I like to try and separate the plastic from the screen anyways. All right, but you just want to go all the way around doing that. Pull up from the inside. This screen is pretty tough because of the adhesive. Let me see if I can do it this way. Go. So get your fingernails underneath and pull it up. I cut my fingernails a little too short, so this is tough. Okay. All right, so you might have to use a pry tool to cut the glue. All right, and then you can pull this. All right. So be careful if you run a pry tool underneath. You don't want to end up like cutting the camera cable. When you pull this up, it's good to push the frame in towards the center to release the clips. Okay. This one's a little bit tricky just because of the adhesive. So just got to get the adhesive up and peel it this way. All right. Just keep going all the way around. Okay, again, you want to push the frame in towards the center of the screen while you're kind of lifting it up. That helps release the clips. Okay. Sorry if it's going off the frame of the camera. I'm trying to watch and make sure I keep it in view, but sometimes I'm not paying attention. All right, so just keep going. The hardest part, again, is the adhesive holding it in place. Once you get that, as you can see, I got this frame up. Okay, now we're gonna work to the bottom. So the bottom, once you get the bottom, it's a little tricky. You kind of want to push it down so that the clip at the very bottom corner can release, and then also pull it towards you as well as pulling it up afterwards. Okay, so just like that, you see it released. Make sure the plastic is not stuck to the thing, because that makes it difficult. Okay, so you can see the plastic frame of the screen is peeling out. So this is what I mean. A lot of times, if you don't, if your screen is okay and you just try and peel this out, you can damage your screen. So be careful with that, because they put a strong double stick adhesive. Heat and stuff might help a little bit, but there's a good chance also you'll melt stuff. So Yeah, okay, so same thing with this side. Push it down to release the bottom clip while pulling it towards yourself. Once that clip releases, you can kind of pull it back up. You might have to wiggle it around a little bit. All right. Sometimes the clip here on the hinge cover itself gets stuck, so you might have to close the screen slightly, and then you can actually pry that. So if I close the screen, let me show you. Close the screen slightly, you can see the little gap in the hinge cover, and then just stick your pry tool or fingernail in there and it pops out just like that. All right, then you can go ahead and pop this out. Okay, just like that. I accidentally re-engaged this clip, so pop it back out. The double stick adhesive keeps sticking back onto there. See, so they put a frame of double stick adhesive on here. You don't need to replace the adhesive. If you do get that, if the adhesive comes out, just take it out and get it out of the way. All right, and then this plastic stuff isn't really important, it's just there to kind of cover what's underneath. All right, once you do that, you can take the 4 screws out from the screen. So the screen has 4 screws holding these tabs in place. There are the wireless antennas up here. Okay, so I'm not sure why their wireless was having issues. It could be the wireless card wasn't seated properly or got corrosion on it. So I unplugged it and plugged it back in. Sometimes that will fix the problem. If it doesn't, it could be their wireless card's bad or the driver is bad. So yeah, remove the 4 screws from here. I'm not going to take the screen completely out. So once you do that, lift the thing up and then get the top, pull the screen forward. Be careful not to just let it drop. All right, the cable is connected, routed down here, so be careful. You can unroute it so you have a little more slack to work with. To disconnect the cable, you just peel this adhesive up, and then after that there's this metal tab here. Let me actually show you that. So again, if you're gonna disconnect this screen cable, you want to make sure disconnect all sources of power, make sure it's not plugged in, disconnect the battery, and then hold the power button for about 15 seconds to drain any power that could be still in the computer. And then once you do that, peel that up, flip this little latch up, and then you can use the bottom of the latch to kind of use as a handle to pull it back just like this. And here you can see your screen might be different, so you want to double check yours. But the model number of this one, if you can see, is LP156WF7 in parentheses SP and then A1. Okay, so that's all there is to removing the screen. It wasn't too bad. All right, so once you do that, get the screen back in place, line it up, make sure you get the connector in the slot, and then use the little latch to pull it back. Once you do that, put the latch back down, snap it back in place. All right, then you can use this tape to kind of pull it a little. I like to use the corners to pull it, make sure it's connected all the way, and use the tape to push it all the way back in. All right, then we put the screen back in, just like this. Make sure the cable is following the route again. Okay, all right, you don't want to leave this cable sticking out, then when you put the bezel back on you can damage it. All right, after you do that, just put back the 4 screws, snap the bezel back in place, and you're good to go. So I will put back the screws. Okay, just like that. Sorry, my head got in the way. Oh, my phone's overheating, but that's pretty much all there is. I'll see you in the next one.